Department of Justice announced an initiative out of Jacksonville, Florida today dealing with the issue of redlining. Kristen Clark, who has the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice, was there along with the Attorney General. Here is what they had to say.
Morning, everyone. I'm joined today by Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, Kristen Clark, and U.S. Attorney for the Middle District of Florida, Roger Handberg. We are here today to announce a major development in the Justice Department's anti-redlining initiative, which was made possible by the hard work of the staffs of both of their offices. But first, I would like to address those who are living with understandable fear in the wake of Hamas's terrorist attacks on Israel. As the FBI has noted, we are seeing an increase in reported threats against faith communities, particularly Jewish, Muslim, and Arab communities and institutions. Last week, I directed all 94 of our United States attorneys' offices and the FBI to be in close touch with federal, state, and local law enforcement partners in their districts. Yesterday, I met with, and today and tomorrow, I will continue to meet with our U.S. attorneys and federal, state, and local law enforcement officials here in Florida. I've also directed our U.S. attorneys to reach out to religious and other community leaders in their districts to reaffirm our commitment to them and to assess what additional support they may need. The entire Justice Department remains vigilant in our efforts to identify and respond to hate crimes, threats of violence, or related incidents, with particular attention to threats to faith communities. And as always, the Justice Department remains focused on doing everything we can to keep Americans safe from the threat of terrorism. We are here today to announce Ameris Bank's agreement to enter into a consent decree regarding our allegations that the bank engaged in redlining in violation of the Fair Housing Act and the Equal Credit Opportunity Act. Redlining occurs when lenders deny or discourage applications or avoid providing loans in neighborhoods because of the race, color, or national origin of the people who live in those neighborhoods. Our complaint alleges that the bank denied or discouraged home loan applications and other credit opportunities and services in major Black and Hispanic neighborhoods here in Jacksonville. As a result of our investigation, we have reached a settlement agreement with Ameris. If approved by the court, the bank would pay $9 million to expand access to credit opportunities for residents of Black and Hispanic neighborhoods in Jacksonville. This investigation is part of the Justice Department's Combating Redlining Initiative, which I launched 2 years ago this month. Once this agreement is approved, the initiative will have secured in total more than $100 million for communities across the country that have been harmed by discriminatory lending practices. Our complaint alleges that the bank located its branches in specific areas of Jacksonville to serve majority white neighborhoods and to avoid serving Black and Hispanic neighborhoods. This included failing to open even a single branch in majority Black and Hispanic neighborhoods in Jacksonville, despite having opened 18 full-service branches in other parts of Jacksonville. For example, we allege that in 2019, Ameris closed 2 of its Jacksonville branches as part of its so-called efficiency initiative. Ameris had identified both of those branches as having, quote, minority populations, quote, higher than nearby branch locations. One of those branches, which was located within what Ameris called the, quote, urban core of Jacksonville, was the closest branch to most of the city's majority Black and Hispanic neighborhoods. That branch was closed despite the fact that Ameris itself rated it as one of the, quote, best financial performers of all of its branches across the United States. Ameris did not close any branches in the majority white areas of Jacksonville as part of this so-called efficiency initiative. In another example, we allege that in 2020, Ameris sent out a, quote, free checking mailer that the bank said was targeted to low and moderate income areas in majority minority neighborhoods. Ameris mailed out over 22,000 postcards with images of white models to 13 zip codes in Jacksonville. Not one postcard was sent to a single resident in a majority Black and Hispanic neighborhood.
Folks, if you want to watch that full news conference, go to the Black Star Network app, go to our YouTube channel. We live streamed it a little bit earlier. That right there, Greg, is what I'm talking about. That ain't going to get covered on MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, ABC, CBS, but that's the kind of relevant stuff that for African Americans, you go, wait a minute, hold up. That's the difference between a Biden-Harris Department of Justice and a Trump-Pence Department of Justice.
Absolutely, Roland. It's quite striking, isn't it? We focus, and rightfully so, on voting rights, on the criminal punishment system. But this one here, you know, when people say tangibles, 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 what's more tangible than being able to get a loan and a mortgage for your house? With this $9 million settlement, $7.5 million over 5 years is going to go towards subsidizing home mortgages, improving and refinancing loans in majority Black and Spanish-speaking communities in Jacksonville. They're going to hire a person that does nothing but service and oversee giving out those loans. In Jacksonville, Ameris has to open up a full-service branch in a majority Black and Hispanic neighborhood. And as you heard the Attorney General say, sure, everything's not perfect, but this is tangible. And this is, they've got more than 24 other active investigations to go with what we just saw in Jacksonville. And then Houston, Columbus, Ohio, Philly, Rhode Island, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Memphis, LA. You know, this is, you know, everybody talking about tangibles needs to watch this clip again, needs to read this settlement again. There it is.
Lauren?
Yeah, home ownership, obviously, as everybody knows, is the way that wealth is built in the United States. This is the type of story that, of course, should get a lot more play, but we do live in a media world where it's the type of story that requires some nuance and some deep thinking on policy and some deep analysis on policy. And for the most part, particularly broadcast media, is not up to that task.